Get started. Just so you're aware, this is not a levels class. It never has been. I'm not saying I never will have a levels class. It's not a beginner's class. It's not an intermediate class. It's not an advanced class. It's just strictly a technique class, a tools class, if you will, a script analysis class.
Rob, did you send additional materials or just the?
Yeah, just the verb sheets and objective sheets, maybe an inner monologue sheet, maybe, but we won't really get to that tonight, so don't worry about that. I didn't send any script, so you're not missing out on script.
Okay, got it.
I may start next week with the Zoom classes, sending out a couple of pages in advance, but I don't want you to look at them. They're just for triggering. I've learned how to utilize a couple things on Zoom that people have known how to use for like 3 years now. I just learned how to do it like 2 days ago, how to pin or spotlight 2 people. So I'll start doing that like it's a regular class in person, where I usually put 2 people in front of the class and you go toe to toe with a cold script for a period of time. I'm gonna start doing that next week on Zoom. So I'm gonna send out a couple of scripts, but I'm not gonna tell you which one you're working on. So this way you don't try to jump ahead and do anything like that. I want to see how you guys use these tools ice cold when you don't know anything about the script. That's when I want to see. I want these tools. I want them to benefit you throughout the entire process, but I want you to learn how to utilize them when you've never worked the script, how to use them to spend effective time with script, how to use them to cold read, how to use them to make choices, how to use them effectively when you haven't read the script one time at all and still give a decent read if you're asked to do something ice cold. Literally, you know, it happens less right now because there's no in-person auditions, but back in the day, you know, you go to an audition and half the time they sent you the wrong script. You're like, shit, you know, like, oh, they sent you the wrong script. Can you do this one? I'm like, I've been working on this one for a week. You know, well, just go work on it for 5 minutes. Like, oh, it's just so fucking easy. You know, yeah, let me just go wing it because that's piss off. But sometimes you go in the room and they're like, oh, you know what? Would you mind reading for another part as well? And they hand you a script and they say, okay. And I'm like, well, I haven't read it. They're like, oh, do you need to? Does anybody understand the fucking craft? I mean, it's just, do I need to read it? Yeah. Can I take a minute? Sometimes I just read through it once. Yeah, because that's going to be great work. But there are tools that we utilize that, you know, for cold reads, for ice cold reads like that can benefit you. And we'll play with quite a few of those tonight. Just give one more minute to see if anybody pops in. Who popped in? Ah, there's Amelia popped in. Good to see you. Welcome back. We're waiting for it. I appreciate it. All right, hey guys, my name's Rob. I'm an actor. I've been teaching a class for about, I don't even know. I don't even remember when I started, sometime in 2008, 2009. But primarily, as we all are, I am a student. You never stop working the craft. You never stop learning the craft. You never start acquiring skills and knowledge and experiences that affect you, that help you grow. You can go to a teacher, you can go to a school, you can go to a 4-year program or a 2-year program. You can go all over the world and study with teachers and in different schools, and they can give you these wonderful diplomas and little wonderful placards to put on your fridge with smiley faces and shit. But ultimately, no matter where you go, whether it's the Actors Studio or Yale or God forbid Barbizon or something like that, you know, where they'll turn you into an actor/model in 6 weeks. None of those, no matter where you go, it all depends on who's teaching there. You know, I'd rather have a great teacher at Barbizon than a shitty teacher at Yale, though Yale looks good coming out of it. You know, you're only as good as the teachers you're learning from and the skills and the tools that they're trying to give you, and how you utilize them. It's important to realize that, learning acting is not osmosis. You can't just sit there and listen. It's like going to the gym. You just can't watch people work out. You can't listen about how to do a push-up. You know, you got to do a push-up. It's the same thing with acting or any art form. You can listen about script analysis. You can hear people talk about motivation and objectives and being in the moment and utilizing tactics and making choices of relationship scenarios and as if you can listen to all that. But if you're not doing it, if you're not utilizing it, you know, you're just reading, which is fine. there's an old saying, to know and not to do is not to know. You've got to apply the tools. You have to apply these things. You have to try them. I can hand you a hammer and I can tell you how to use it. But until you start whacking a nail, it's just going to be theory at this point. You need to take these tools out for test drives, like buying a car. You're not going to go, oh, the car's pretty, here's my money. No, you need to drive it. You need to see how it runs. You need to see how you look in it. You need to see how it affects you. You need to see how the industry reacts and responds to your utilization of the tools of acting. And again, I don't even care what tools you're using. I don't care if you're studying Strasberg or Stanislavski or Mamet or Meisner or Chubbuck, Adler, Hagen, Moss, Fine. I mean, I don't care. I mean, there's endless amazing teachers all over the world, and never has there been a better time, a more accessible time to access any teacher you want, because everybody's on Zoom. You can study all over the world right now. And thank you for studying in Alpharetta, Georgia. Okay, there you go. Appreciate that. But again, I don't care what tools you utilize. And when I say I don't care, it's a wrong phrasing. It doesn't matter to me what tools you use to get there, as long as you know what tools you're using to get there. Because if you know the tools that you utilize to get you there, we'll talk about there in a minute, then there's a good chance you can get back there, because acting is a step-by-step process. It's like learning to dance. Once you learn the steps, it's amazing how natural it looks. So you watch those shows with great dancers, people are, oh my God, what a natural. And dancers are like, shut up, work my ass off to learn how to do this. I'm not a natural. It took me forever. How to get there. I wouldn't profess or to define success for you. Again, that's for you to decide what your definition of success is, or where there is when I say get there. But I think we can agree upon that there is a place where we are doing our best work consistently. I'd like to get there using the tools. Whether or not people hire us, I have no power over. There's no guarantees of acting. You could have an immense handle on the tools. You could be unbelievably emotionally available, and still your coin comes up tails every time. I mean, shit happens. There's no guarantee, unless you're making the project, unless you're producing it. There's really no guarantees you'll ever work. People are going to tell you the rules of acting on this journey. Everybody's going to want to tell you the rules of acting. And I'm here to tell you, there are no rules when it comes to acting. There's no rules. Hollywood is littered. The lore is littered with stories of people doing crazy shit that would be outside the rules of acting that people want to tell you. The only thing you have to do is show up. You have to audition. If you don't audition, you're not going to work. There won't be any opportunity. You can't win the lottery if you don't play. So you have to play. What you do to prepare for that experience, if you're preparing for that experience, there's no rules there. You don't have to study Stanislavski. You don't have to study Meisner, Mamet, Chubbuck, Adler. You don't have to do any of that. Will it benefit you? I believe so. You're here because you want to hear what I have to tell you. So I tell you, yes, you need craft. You have to study the craft. You have to use the tools of craft. I'll tell you, there are no rules when it comes to acting, but there are shitloads of tools that you can utilize that benefit you, that in the eyes of people judging you will make you a better actor, generally speaking. It's all subjective. Everything you do is subjective to somebody's opinion, but these tools will make you subjectively more appealing, I think. Will subjectively put your focus in the right place. Subjectively not screw with the suspension of disbelief. Subjectively give purpose and motivation to your behavior, because that's what acting is. Acting is behaving. Acting is doing. Acting isn't feeling. Nobody comes to see you feel. Nobody says, oh, Kayla is working on stage tonight. She'll be feeling for 3 hours down a little 5 points. Let's go watch Kayla feel. Nobody gives a shit how Kayla feels. They want to see her play a character. The character isn't feeling, a character is doing. Every character is a sentient being that wants something really bad and has to overcome obstacles, generally great obstacles, to try to achieve that objective. That's what it is. How Kayla feels in the pursuit of that journey, in the face of those obstacles, well, that's Kayla. That's what makes Kayla special. Nobody can tell you how to feel. Oh, they're going to try. They're going to put those wonderful little parentheticals under your characters' names. And someday when you realize you're going to take a Sharpie and you're going to scratch the shit out of it and tell them to go F themselves, that you can't tell me how to feel. I'll read it. I'll go, all right, the writer wanted me to cry there, but, you know, I'm not going to force crying. What you have to do every scene is try to achieve an objective. Every scene there's an obstacle. Every scene there's intent. You want something, something's in your way. Every single scene ever written, this is not hyperbole, every single scene ever written is two or more sentient beings. I used to say people, but then there's movies about cars and they can talk and shit. Let's just say two or more things that can communicate with each other. Two or more things. Every single scene is two or more sentient beings going toe to toe. Toe to toe being we're standing nose to nose, eye to eye. You're my obstacle. I'm your obstacle. I'm trying to get you to do something. You're trying to get me to do something. Every single scene is two or more sentient beings going toe to toe. You want something from them. They want something from you. Your job is to make the obstacle not your obstacle. In the words of William H. Macy, your job is simply, and I put that in quotes because nothing's easy, your job is simply to change the behavior of the other actor. The other actor is doing, I've got to pare down to one of four things that we can change here. So bear with me here. Your job is to change, the other actor is either doing something you don't want them to do or not doing something you need them to do. They're either saying something you don't want them to say, or they're not saying something you need them to say. They're either feeling something you don't want them to feel, or they're not feeling something you need them to feel, or they believe something you don't want them to believe, or they don't believe something you need them to believe. And your job is to change that. That's it. That's in every scene, going toe to toe. I don't care whether it's a commercial. I don't care whether it's a TV show, a film, a short, a narrative. I don't care whether it's a puppet show, a play. I don't care about the genre. I don't care whether it's drama or horror or rom-com or comedy or romance or thriller. Story is story. Every story is one or more sentient beings who want something really bad, and they have to overcome great obstacles to get it. Find me a story that is not that, and I'll tell you it's not a story. I don't differentiate my craft from commercial to industrial to theater to film to TV. Are there people who do? Yeah, okay, but they're not teaching class tonight. So I tell you from my experience, I don't change it. I get a commercial script, it's just a script. I get a TV script, it's a script. I get a play, it's a script. I get a movie, it's a script. A short, it's a script. Horror, script, it's script. Every commercial is two or more sentient beings going toe to toe. Every TV show, every film, every play. I've been debating people a lot lately over, because there are a lot of commercial workshops, and so I say, okay, and I'll debate and I'll say, there's no difference. I don't treat anything different. And they say, no, well, all these commercial workshops you go to, they tell you it's different. I go, well, tell me one thing that's different. And usually it's blank stares for a while. I go, well, tell me something that's different. And I put the challenge up to you. And I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm telling you right now, as of right now, no one has given me this moment of discovery. I went, oh shit, I've been doing it wrong all these years. I've been booking commercials. And I've done dozens and dozens of commercials over the years. I don't even know. I never kept track. I'm not that organized, to tell you the truth. But I ask you, what have you gotten from a commercial workshop where you do something completely different than if it's film or TV? Because to me, the difference between commercial auditions or shoots or prepping for TV film shoots is the same as prepping for an audition, a taped audition, or actually the shoot. And I say there's no difference. Because auditions are so much different than the work. I go, what the fuck are you talking about? You get a script, you prep it as much as you can. You go to a room, which is a set. There's a camera, like a set. There's another actor you're reading with, like a set. Sometimes there's a director, like a set. The only difference is they're not cutting between you and the reader. That's it. They're not cutting between you and the reader. And sometimes I give less of a shit about what the reader does because the camera never leaves me. Never leaves me. But that being said, on set, I never relax or stop fighting for my objective, knowing full well that they're going to cut away from me. I don't know when they're going to cut away from me. So it really doesn't make a difference. There's no difference. So I say you take an audition workshop. I go, it's an acting class. Well, it's for auditions. I go, which is acting. What do you? The difference is the word. It's a worse word, audition, because it says you have to prove yourself to people, which is a shitty thing to have to do. And I think it puts your focus in the wrong place. Audition says you have to prove yourself to people watching you. And I say, bullshit. You're never going to prove yourself to them. Your job is to walk in the room, figure out who you're working with and go, I'm reading with you. I'm going to get you to do something. That's your objective. Your objective is to make the other actor who's standing in front of you, your obstacle, do something. Get them to do something you want them to do. That's your job. Your job is simply to change the behavior of the other actor. You can't get these people to like you because you don't know what they want. You don't know what they want because they don't know what they want. So how the hell can you possibly know what they want? You know what they want? They want the best actor. And they're only judging the best actor by solid work and by your physical appearance, so they think you're the character. And the choices you make. You book jobs for two reasons and two reasons only. And when I say you, I mean me. You're just an avatar for me in my experiences. You book jobs for two reasons and two reasons only. One, you work your ass off and you make strong choices. We'll talk about choices. You can hear that word a lot. Choices. So you book jobs for two reasons. One, you work your ass off and you make strong choices. Two, you're right for the part. You control one of those, which is the choices, which is the craft. You know, the caveat is the harder you work, the better you become at the craft of acting. It's amazing how many more parts you become right for. It doesn't work in reverse. You can't go, I'm just going to wait it out till I'm 30 and then, oh yeah, then I'm going to be in my sweet spot. No, you're just going to be a 30-year-old equally shitty actor if you don't work the craft. If you wait till you're 40 without doing anything, just an older, flabbier, shitty actor. You got to work the craft. Choices. There's a great quote from Stella Adler. Acting has nothing to do with talent. The talent of the actor is in the choices that you make. So she kind of goes back in her words. She says acting has nothing to do with talent. Then she says the talent of the actors and the choices that we make, that you make. Now, she's a pretty good teacher, well known. So obviously, whatever she's talking about, there must be tools that we use that within those tools, there must be many choices. And there are. We will play with tactics, which are just verbs. There are a lot of verbs. We'll play with objectives. A lot of objectives. Play with relationship scenarios. Lots of them. Inner monologue. That's just subtext and point of view. Lots of them. Play with triggers, the things that we react to. Lots of them. Moments before. Lots of them. Lots of choices. The tools we work on in here, which we'll get to momentarily, seem to support another quote by Adler, which is, the difference between acting and real life is that when we're acting, we are consciously choosing to do the things that we subconsciously do during the day. So I'll say it again. The difference between acting and real life is that when we're acting, we're consciously choosing, we're deciding, we're choosing to do the things, choosing and to do, acting is to do, we're choosing to do the things, our actions, our behavior, that we just naturally, reflexively do during the day. So what are those things? All right, so we wake up, we have a list of things to do. Those are our objectives. Different teachers call them different things. Different schools of thought call them different things. The objective is the want, it's the need, it's the goal, it's your purpose, it's your intent, it's your task, it's your agenda. I don't give a shit what you call it. Just have one. Without one, you are just floating purposelessly. You need purpose. Without purpose, there's no conflict. You must have purpose. You must have a target, something you're aiming for. You start here, you need something to happen, aim for it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you have to have a target. So we have objectives. What happens? Things get in our way. Those are called our obstacles. We must identify the obstacle. Without an obstacle, there is no conflict. There's a great book on Stoicism called The Obstacle is the Way. Without an obstacle, you have no enemy. You have no one to go toe to toe with. You can't prove yourself. It's all saying conflict reveals character, right? Without an obstacle, there's no conflict. Without conflict, there's no character, because conflict makes you do things, and we're judged by the things that we do. We're judged in life and on stage by our actions. In the face of adversity, adversity is just conflict. I can quote gazillions different things from life that just contribute to this. So we have objectives. Things get in our way. Those are our obstacles. We have relationships to those obstacles. There are loved ones, our enemies, there are objects, it's weather, it could be anything that gets in our way. So we have relationship scenarios. We're not going to talk as much about those tonight, but we have relationships to those obstacles. In life, when we want something, which is our objective, which is 24/7, what we use to try to turn our obstacles into allies or turn our obstacles into not obstacles are called tactics. We want something, we use tactics, right? Tactics are actions. Actions, by definition, are verbs. We play with transitive verbs and verb phrases. Most of them start with the word to threaten, to warn, to skirt, flirt, to tease, to charm, to lay it on the line, to praise, to put somebody on a pedestal. It doesn't have to be a word, it can be a phrase. Something you can do to someone without putting your hands on them, because it's still acting. You're not allowed to grab another actor unless it's choreographed, unless there's an agreement. Something you can do to someone without putting your hands on them, because we have to be able to manipulate with just our intentions. Without putting your hands on them, to manipulate them into doing what you want them to do, which is your objective, right? So the objective is what we're trying to achieve. The tactic is what we do to our obstacle to try to achieve it. I get that question a lot. What's the difference between action and objective? The objective is what we want. It's the thing we're fighting for. I want you to pay attention. How am I going to get you to pay attention? I'm going to coax you into paying attention. I'm going to beg you to pay attention. I'm going to charm you into paying attention. I'm going to seduce you into paying attention. I'm going to flirt with you into paying attention. I'm going to yell at you to pay attention. The action is what we do to the obstacle to try to change its behavior, to get it to do what we need it to do, so it is no longer our obstacle. The objective is what we want. The obstacle is what gets in the way of what we want. We have a relationship to that obstacle. We use tactics to try to manipulate that obstacle. We use inner monologue. Why? Because our brain never turns off. At least for the most of us, I guess. There's always thought going on. We're always analyzing and observing and scheming. Every scene is a predicament, always trying to solve the predicament, playing with our independent activity in this predicament. And your thoughts are things you want to say, but the writer hasn't necessarily given you the opportunity to say because he hasn't written it. But man, fuck, maybe you say it anyway, because why not? Because there's no rules, right? And what makes your work better? I don't know. That's your decision. Your opinions, your points of view. Do I love you? Do I hate you? Do I give two shits about you? Just filled with all the improv and the thoughts and the things you built in rehearsal. It's the subtext. It's the text below the text. You think there's a lot of text on the page? Holy shit. What about the world living under your page that you have to be thinking about the whole time, thinking to say and then deciding not to say, and then really wanting to do something different, but the script hasn't let you. So you live in that world of the unknown and anxiety of just trying to figure out the predicament that is this moment. And then we listen. We react. We are affected by our obstacle and things around us, by anything our senses can pick up. Anything we hear, see, smell, touch, taste, we are affected by. We use triggers in this class. What triggers us into responding? What triggers us into reacting? So we focus on the things we hear and see that make us respond. Acting is bad. Acting is faking. I need you to be reactors. I need you to be responders. Everything you do, say, feel is in reaction to something else. Nothing begins with you. Nothing begins with you. Everything you do, say, feel is in reaction. I don't care if you have the first line. You better write something that happened right before, a moment before, something to react to. So people see you reacting and living as opposed to starting to act. Acting's bad. You never want to get caught acting. We talked about tactics for a minute, the verbs. That's what Stella Adler calls the vocabulary of action. And her quote is, "What the actor is called to do upon the stage is as broad as life itself, and the range of actions he should have at his command must be very wide. An actor must begin to acquire a vocabulary of action, such as," she just listed some verbs. I just gave you a longer list. The verbs aren't better on my list. There's just more of them, which is better because the more choices you have, the more times you can go through the script. And every time you do a different action, you're playing a different character. Because in life and on stage, we're judged by our actions. What do I mean? I flirt with you, I'm the flirtatious guy. I charm you, I'm the charming guy. I make nice to you, I'm the nice guy. I seduce you, I'm the seductive guy. I threaten you, I'm the threatening guy. We're judged by our actions. Yes, the circumstances come into play, as always. But we're judged by our actions. We're not judged by our objectives. We all want the same things. We want peace and love and happiness and success, maybe wealth, maybe revenge. There are things that are primal things that we want. We all want them. Why we all judge differently? Because we do different things to get them, and people judge us by the things we do. Hypothetical. Let's say there's a pretty girl, I want her to go out with me. And let's say a noob also wants the same girl to go out with him. To get the girl to go out with me, let's see what I can do. I threaten her to go out with me. I mock her to go out with me. I ridicule her. I insult. I put my foot down. I lay down the law. I bite her head off. I tear her a new one. I embarrass her. Smooth. A noob, to get the girl to go out with him, praises her, comforts her, compliments her, celebrates her, charms her, makes nice to her, puts her on a pedestal. We want the same thing. Are we judged the same way? No, clearly I'm a dickhead, and Anoop's a nice guy. So we're judged in life and on stage by our actions. How important is the vocabulary of action? How important are the tactics? We're judged by them. So you tell me. I'm not here to tell you what tools to use. I'm just here to tell you how to use them, how to spend time with them. So we're going to play with objective. We're going to play with obstacle, relationship to obstacle. We're going to play with tactic, a lot of tactic, inner monologue, and triggers. Each class is sort of the same in the sense that we talk about the same tools. We tend to lean into some heavier than others week to week. The tools remain the same. What changes week to week and class to class are the scripts that we're working on, the one-liners or the short scripts that we're working on, because it is imperative that you see that no matter what script you get, no matter what genre, no matter what medium, that the tools work for you. You're never going to go, ha ha, what an idiot. I don't need any objective today. That guy's so wrong. It's just because you can't figure out what your objective is doesn't mean you don't need an objective. Never going to need tactics in this one. What an idiot. No, always need tactics. No obstacle here. There is an obstacle there. You just can't find it. Look, when you get a script, it's sort of a la carte. They give you the script, maybe a little character breakdown with a couple of adjectives. What you don't get, generally speaking, they don't go here. Here you go, Kayla. Here's the objectives, and here are your motivations, and here are your tactics and relationship scenarios. Make sure you notice that this is the obstacle here. And if you need some inner monologue and points of view, here you go. And there's some as-ifs you can play with. No, you get a script, and they say sink or swim. Let's show us if you're an actor or not. You know, and that's why the craft is imperative. It is imperative. A few months ago, a bunch of actors in Atlanta got together. That teach, a bunch of teachers got together, and they wrote videos. The question was posed, why craft? And I knew a lot of the teachers who worked on this, and again, I wasn't part of this, but I remember thinking, well, it's simple to me. Say Kayla's doing a movie, and the director says, Kayla, that was amazing. I need you to do that 30 more times for coverage, exactly the same way, because I got all these lenses I want to play with. Good Kayla goes, no sweat, Mr. Director. I know exactly what my objective is. I'm going to fight for the same objective. I'm going to use the same tactics. I have the same inner monologue and point of view. I know it's triggering me into responding. Great. You know what bad Kayla says? Oh shit, what did I just do? Now, bad Kayla is at the mercy of everything else in the world except the craft. She has no control, or very, very little control to get back to where she was. And just as important, the director says, Kayla, come here. What the hell is wrong with you? Are you on drugs? Don't ever do that again. That was terrible. Not that Kayla would ever do something like that. Good Kayla would say, no sweat. I can change my objective. I can change my motivations. I can change my level of urgency. I can change my tactics, my inner monologues, my triggers, my relationship scenarios, yada, yada, yada. Awesome. You know what bad Kayla says? Shit, what did I just do? You know, how do you not do what you just did if you don't know what you just did? Now you're at the mercy of everything else. So that's my answer to why craft. That's it. I mean, it either makes sense for you or not. Craft also gives you reason to spend more time with the script. It gives you purpose. Look, I said before, there's no rules. And let me make an addendum on that. I think the rule is this. Hard work doesn't guarantee any type of success, definition of success. Hard work doesn't guarantee a booking. That being said, not working hard almost guarantees not booking. So, the choice of hard work, time spent is up to you. Whether or not you work hard, I think is is sort of a litmus test on how much you really like the craft. I think a lot of people like the idea of being an actor. I think they like the thought of be cool. And then, and then work comes into play, and it's sort of, they'd rather have a business card and a headshot and try to talk the talk instead of walk the walk. And that's fine. Again, it has to be an actor. I'm just saying, it's a lot of time spent with script, analyzing and making choices. It's impossible to over rehearse. It's impossible to spend too much time with script. You can't wear out objectives. You can't wear out tactics. You can't wear out choices. I'm not saying, if you're using emotional recall or sense memory, great, you stick that in Pandora's box and break glass when necessary. But as far as spending time with the script, it's impossible to know it too well. These are not your words. These words weren't written for you. They weren't written by you. They may not even be how you speak. They're somebody else's words. It's your job to tame them and make them your own. And the only way to do that is to work them so much you never have to think about them. If you're thinking about your words, you're not thinking about your obstacle, your objectives, your purpose there. These words and these beats have to become a reflex. They have to almost be like vomiting, where they just something happens, you need bam, and it's a response in defense of your objective. And don't get me wrong, it's hard to get there. It's a rare place to be. If you've done this a while, every now and then you're like, oh, it was just there, blah 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 blah, and because again, that's why theater, that you would rehearse for at least 4 weeks. It's imperative to spend time with script. Even on film, the more time you get spending time with that script, the more comfortable you're going to be on set. I've seen people, circle the fucking drain on set. It's at least on stage, there's nobody up there pulling your strings. You start circling the drain, you're not prepared on a set where there's pressure and people are pushing you and staring at you and mocking you for not being prepared, and it's late at night and people are in a hurry and dollars are being spent. It's hard to stop the circle going down the drain. I've seen people just lose it. And look, I don't set the script down until the red light comes on the camera when we're shooting. In the audition, I generally hold the script. I've been auditioning for 33, 34 years. I can count on two hands how many times I've actually set a script down, or didn't have it available to me. Again, that's me though. There are teachers who will tell you, don't hold the script. If I'm comfortable holding the script, fuck you, I'm holding the script. You know what no one has ever done is try to rip the script out of my hand. No one has told me ever to set the script down, ever, not one time, not one time. Hold the script. You know why? Because people read things to each other. Doctors have briefs, and lawyers have briefs, and doctors have charts, and police have that. Make it work for you. There's something in my hand. I like to point with it. I like to have something to glance away with. It's tactile. It's grounding. Again, not a rule. I do it because it's part of my comfort zone. That's what I like to do. No right, no wrong. You're gonna have teachers tell you, no, can't do it. You can do whatever you want to get you to your best work. You have to decide how you get to your best work. I will never prioritize the verbatim over the objective. Kayla, question?
Yeah, with that thought, what would you still hold the script in the world of today when it comes to obviously with Atlanta it's always been self-tape, but would you still hold on to a script when it's self-taping?
I hold on to the script whenever I need the script, whenever I'm more comfortable with the script. I self-taped today. I literally had a table in front of me where script was laying on it. I have it everywhere. I felt it, before the apocalypse back in the day, before self-taping in person in callbacks, I held the script. If I needed it, if I wanted to glance at it, you don't always get the amount of time you need. Sometimes the turnaround is that I've got notices where it's like, hey, Rob, I know it's noon, but Shay wants to see you at 3 today. Can you go in an audition? You bet your ass I'm going to be holding the script, and even 2 day, cold read is not like a definitive cold read. If you give me a 10-page script, it's going to be cold read for days. It just depends on the circumstances. Again, it's every audition, every shoot is a different animal. I'm just going to utilize the tools that I can utilize to get me there. Yeah. I always have the script printed out, multiple copies, tops of the pages numbered so I can keep them in order. They are highlighted, my lines in yellow, my triggers in blue, my notes all over them, multiple copies, and I will hold and I will do whatever I need to do to get to it. Place is a powerful tool, and a lot of great acting schools and people, you spend immense time sitting in a blank room and creating different places so your imagination kicks in. what I'm telling you is you can do whatever, just, again, you can make any choice you want. You just have to be ready to accept the repercussions or the benefits of said choices and learn from them. You know, I look at it this way: the only rules, the rules of being an actor, are the same as the rules of being a Cub Scout or a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout. Be prepared, be on time, be nice. And if you do those things, you're going to be fine. You'll literally be fine. Prepared is huge. It's the study of the craft. It's the tools you learn. It's your experiences. But there's no right or wrong. And you're gonna trust me. I don't have to tell you this. Every Facebook prophet, every wannabe acting teacher is going to tell you have to do this and you have to do that. And you know, my favorite ones are the ones, you know, unless you have 3 Netflix credits and two network credits, you're not an actor. Well, fuck you, moron, because acting predates Netflix, and acting predates movies, and acting predates television, and acting predates theater, and acting started around campfires with cavemen and people on carts going from town to town telling stories. So if you're acting, you're an actor. If you're studying the craft and working it, you're an actor. Those guidelines that those schmucks put out there to try to make you feel bad is really to try to make them feel good. They're just blowing smoke up their own ass because they're insecure and they think they need to feel better about themselves. And there's a lot of them. There's just a shitload of them. So again, nobody can define success for you. The craft is imperative. And again, so the way to utilize this class, if you want to utilize this class, is use it, you know, I just forgot the word I wanted to use, but yeah, you use it in conjunction with other classes. We're ongoing all the time. You can drop in here anytime if you like working on what we work on, and save up your money to take intensives. Save up your money to go to a 2-year program or a 4-year program, or take a Chubbuck intensive or a Meisner intensive or a Strasberg intensive, or, you know, all the amazing, or please take improv. Please study improv. Please, this is a world-class improv town. I can't tell you how often in the past decade and a half, improv in auditions for film and TV and on set has become a huge part of the process. Nowhere on my resume does it say under skills, improv, nor does it say any teachers I've studied with. And yet I get asked, hey, just improv it. Like because there's actors next to my name that I should have this skill of improv. Thank God I have studied a little bit. Thank God I'm comfortable in my skin enough to utilize these tools. What you have to understand, all improv is all these tools that we're talking about without written dialogue for you. It's all the purpose, it's all the circumstances, the relationships. Didn't give me any dialogue. So this is where your words become very, very important. And it's important for you to know that your words are equally as important with the written script, and we will talk about that tonight. Anyway, the rules of the class are this: simply to try to simplify acting, because I think it's hard. 1, we don't become the character. This is not a metamorphosis. You don't poof become a superhero, or poof become a fireman, or poof become a villain. Based upon the choices you make, the script filtered through you becomes you. It is always Mel, it's always Anoop, it's always Aiden, it's always Kayla, it's always Khalib, Teresa, Darius, Hillary, Amelia, Susan, Olivia, Hillary, Brian, and Via. It is always you. It is you. So the man and the woman in the mirror has to be enough, plus your choices. Now, the illusion is created by the dialogue you're saying and the setting they put you in and the costuming they put you in. But it's always you. It's always Sean Penn. He's just really good at it. It's always Daniel Day-Lewis. He's just better at it. It's always Meryl Streep, just fucking good at it. You know, they've never actually become somebody else. We just believe it because it's an illusion, because they're so damn good at it, because they buy into the circumstances and they work at it harder than everybody else. And they commit to their actions. And that's what it comes down to. So, and so 1, we don't become the character. It's always you. So what I'm saying, for the sake of this class, no acting. It's just, you're just doing something to someone. 2, a lot of classes talk about feelings. Great. I got some bad news. No one gives a shit how you feel. No one came to see you feel. You know, I'm not saying your parents and your loved ones don't care about how you feel. Again, no one says, hey, look, Anoop is on stage tonight feeling. Let's go watch him feel. No, Anoop is doing a play and he's playing a character. And again, a character is judged by his actions. A character is trying to achieve something and overcoming great odds, boom, to achieve it. So you're judged by what you're doing, not by what you're feeling. I'm not saying feelings don't happen. I'm saying nobody came to see you feel. Feeling, acting isn't feeling, acting is doing. Acting also is not talking. Talking is part of acting when you have the written word, but acting isn't talking. How do I know this? Holly Hunter was nominated for an Academy Award 30 years ago for the movie The Piano. She played a mute. She didn't have one word. Was she an extra? No. She was the lead. She was nominated for Best Actress in a Movie, but she didn't have any words. How did you know what she wanted? Because we communicate through behavior. You know what she wanted every single moment. 4 years ago, Sally Hawkins was nominated for an Academy Award for The Shape of Water. She played a mute. She didn't have one word. Not one word. Did you know what she wanted? Yes. Did you know what her motivations were? Yes. Did you know what her obstacles were? Yes. Her level of urgency? Yes. Not one word. So it always cracks me up when I hear an actor who gets a one-liner or, you know, maybe a third of a page and they go, what can I do with one line? What can you do? Well, Holly Hunter got an Academy Award nomination. You should be able to move freaking mountains with your 12 words, dude. So put the work in. So one, we don't become the character. Character becomes you. You don't have to feel. I'm not saying don't feel. I'm saying I don't want to see you doing any emotional prep. I don't want to see you emoting. When it comes to acting, there's nothing worse than watching another actor try to emote. Nobody gives a shit. Put your focus on the other actor and try to get them to do something. Three, this is the good one. We're just making choices. We're choosing what we're doing to the other actor. We're choosing what we're trying to get them to do. We're choosing our objectives. We're choosing our tactics. We're choosing the things we're reacting to. We're choosing our points of view and our subtext, our level of urgency. We're choosing to do these things. They're just choices. There are two types of choices. That was a really effective choice, which is subjective to somebody's opinion. And that was a less effective choice, which is also subject to somebody's opinion. In a different world, that was a really effective choice. That was a less effective choice. It's subjective. You're never wrong. That's the beauty of it. You're never right. You're just never wrong. It's just choices. So whenever somebody tells you, hey, you're doing it wrong, the irony is they're wrong. You know, there's no right or wrong. It's just their opinion. They don't like it, so you make a different choice. Everything you do is subject to opinions. You can sit the top 10 casting directors in this town next to each other in a chair, and you can do an audition for them. Watching the same audition, you're wearing the same clothes, making the same choices. Somebody's going to think you're the greatest actor they've ever seen. They are batshit crazy, right? Somebody's going to think you're the worst actor they've ever seen. Equally batshit crazy. The other 8 are going to be somewhere in the middle. Who's right, who's wrong? But the first thing you do is you get rid of the crazy, like a bell curve. You chop off the anomalies. You get rid of that. You deal with the 8 in the middle. Who's right? Who's wrong? The good news is the correct answer is, and always will be, who gives a shit? Because it's an opinion. And unless this opinion is backed up by constructive criticism, and hey, I loved it. Why? Thank you. I can work on that. I hated it. Awesome. What didn't you like? So I can work on that. Unless it's got that, then it's just, you know, we can't be the emotional puppets to other people's opinions. Most people are crazy, as you know, and their opinions are coming out of left field. They didn't get enough sleep. They didn't like their breakfast. They didn't get a good parking spot. They don't like the way you're dressed. You're too tall. You're too short. You're too ethnic. You're not ethnic enough. Nothing you can control. Control the controllables. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pull a one-liner, and we're going to work on it for a while. One of the rules of class is you're not allowed to say it's only one line. What I've done over the years is after you've known that rule for a while, if I hear you say it's only one line, you're out of class for a month. You've already given yourself permission not to work on it. It's only one line. What could I possibly do? I don't know. How many verbs are there? Gazillions? That's what you can do. How many objectives are there? That's what you can do. How many inner monologues? How many motivations? How many relationship scenarios? That's what you can do. We're going to pull a one-liner. We're going to trigger it. We're going to play with some tactics. I'm going to pull a longer script, and we're going to play with triggering. We'll explain triggering in a moment to those of you who haven't been here. Let me pull a line from my list of scripts. Hold on here. Hold on here. Hold on here. Let's see it. Usually structurally it looks weird. Hold on a second here. Ignore the structure. Lee says, how much gas you got in your car? Austin says, I haven't driven my car for days now, so I haven't had an opportunity to look at the gas gauge. So the first